Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite star girl, Oreo, and I am back on another episode of Divide Podcast. Raise your voice and shout.
Raise your voice and shout.
But yeah, like guys, you petitioned for Oreshonibare to bring me back, and I just like my fans. They're so active, they have a mind of their own. They know what they want. You guys asked and you got what you asked for. And that's when I thank you guys for advocating for me. My fans in Northumbria, my fans in
Iceland.
my fans in Slovakia, my fans all over the world,
the
Scandinavia. Thank you so much. I really love you guys. I felt the love all the way from Poland. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you guys. Much love.
Raise your voice and shout. You're welcome to another episode of the Divide Podcast.
You're welcome.
And I'm here with the ever exciting, fantastic, amazing,
Don't stop now.
beautiful, diligent,
Wow.
hardworking, eloquent.
Oh, come on.
Raise your voice and shout.
Eloquent. Captivating. Wow.
Attractive,
Scintillating.
scintillating, advocating,
Wow.
speaking in tongues, and wife of mine. Thank you very much for gracing this podcast once again.
Yeah.
We'll speak about your honorarium milita.
You know how I like it.
Raise your voice and shout.
Glory.
You are a drunk. I swear to God.
Sorry.
I'm not going to see.
Sorry.
Now, where are we? The world will know. So yes, this episode, interestingly, before we got distracted, is going to be about parenting. It's going to be about parenting, as young parents of an active, walking, running, scattering,
Biting,
slapping,
eating.
one plus year old, because now every time counts. So I no longer count in years. Plus matters because is
He's going to be 14 months old tomorrow.
exactly. You can imagine. That's a lot. It's a lot. It's a living human being. Every day counts. Every day is a lot. And shout out to my wife. She's been holding the fort, carrying first while holding the fort. She's done an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
That means a lot.
Yes. Because of how we have such a fantastic boy to start with. A beautiful boy too. I might have done some work in that regard because we look so much alike.
Right.
But like my cuteness kind of spilled over. But yeah, he's also a very fine boy like his mother.
He
Almost
is.
took my complexion, but I guess my wife gave him her complexion. Not really, actually. He's lighter than you. But your side of the family, sure. But yeah, Joshua is a fantastic boy.
Very fantastic.
People
Such
that
a
don't
brilliant
know him
boy.
when he's at home think he's a quiet boy. But you will find out that as time goes, that
He is quiet. He's just very explorative as well.
okay,
Very adventurous, very busy.
very, very busy and very active.
Bro, very busy.
But this episode is not about Joshua per se, it's about the experience of taking care of Joshua. So we won't talk about parenting.
Okay.
The unspoken, unseen, unknown parts of parenting.
My brothers and sisters.
sisters.
Come closer. Draw your chair nearer.
I'm gone.
Let's talk. Okay.
So basically, we are trying to just highlight, Divide Podcast, we like to talk about just different concepts, share ideas, opinions, and experiences. And in this context, it doesn't get realer than this, literally. To many people, children are people that they experience for 20 minutes, give back to their parents, go. And that's the idea they have of parenting. Part-time and passion.
You can't even call that.
Can't call it part-time.
Yeah.
There's no time going. It's just 20 minutes. Maybe like Instagramming. There's Instagram parenting where you just see parents, see children do active, cute stuff on the internet. And I'm like, oh my god, my ovaries. Better with the ovaries. But yes, so I want to know, what can you say from the almost 14 months of parenting about that experience?
I think the first thing to even talk about is how parenting starts even before the baby arrives.
Word.
Very important. So Joshua has been out of the womb for 14 months, but we've been parenting Joshua even before he was out of the womb. And you might ask how. Well, some of the choices that we've had to make even before Joshua's arrival is exactly how we've been parenting, even before he was out of the womb. Sacrifices were made even in some of the provisions, some of the things I could or could not do while I was pregnant with Joshua was because I was making a choice as his parent to preserve his life, to prioritize him, to show him love and care and support. So I think one of the key lessons is to realize that parenting starts way before the child arrives. Even who you get married to, is actually a choice and a step in the direction of parenting, because you are basically meant to assess, the capacity of your partner to parent your child, your children, the way that you would like them to. And this is obviously before you get married to that person. So even your choice of who you settle down with, has to be someone that aligns with your visions and goals for parenting, especially spiritually and maybe even, morally and all of those things. So these are, some of the important things that, start way before the baby arrives, way before you even start making the baby.
Yeah. Voice and shout.
Glory.
That's a lot. But honestly speaking, parenting doesn't really start as at the point of that people generally think parenting starts, because the responsibility starts before the child comes out.
Even the awareness of the responsibility. You have to realize that you are ready to be a parent and you want to be a parent, and you must know what it takes foundationally, to be a parent, because by the time the child is here, the child is here. It's not at that point that you now say, okay, wait, what does it really mean? Like the life is already, in your hands, so to speak. So you must count the cost before you start building the house, basically, and say, am I ready to give my life up for this child, because that's what parenting is. Am I ready to love sacrificially? Am I ready to go the long mile, the long road for this person? Am I ready to, do the work physically, emotionally, unlearn some of my trauma so I don't pass it on to my child, am I ready to read and improve my knowledge on what it takes to actually form an individual from, from their young stage till their old stage, because that's what children are. They're like clay and you are the potter, so to speak. And you have this very unique opportunity, but heavy responsibility, to build them into something worthwhile.
True. I think one very interesting perspective that you shared is how, like, even the person you marry, because the truth is, when people generally think about their future roles, they don't really see the connection between like where they are to like the future role. I think generally people just think, I'll get married and then maybe at some point I want to have a child. Like the framing of your mind from even when you are single, as to the responsibilities that wait for you,
it's so important.
It's so important, because like the same way you prepare before the 9 months. Because I remember telling somebody that, imagine it was like 2 months that it took to take a baby, to conceive and then give birth. That would have been a terrible world. It was really terrible, but like, just imagine somebody gets pregnant and then in 2 months the person gives birth. God knows why he made that in 9 months. Because literally, in that 9 months, you're able to prepare a bit more, get into the detail, do the research, or just a bit more intentionality, and you have to, in quotes, the time to do it. But the truth is, there are some things that you cannot prepare for in 9 months, like your values,
Absolutely.
the type of moral, the type of environment you're in, the
absolutely.
kind of, for instance, the kind of music you listen to. There's just some very tiny things that you might think, I'm just the only one facing the consequence of this, so there's no need for me to change.
Yeah.
But in the long run, in quotes, you can't just change your values overnight.
True.
You can't change your values in 1 year ago. So, because all those things kind of spill over. So,
yeah,
it's a good thing as a young person just to be aware of like how who you are now would affect the person that your children will also become. Because
absolutely.
that awareness is very good for your development.
Yeah.
Very, very good for your development.
And I would dare say, that even as you're preparing to be that 40-year-old CEO that has over $2 billion in the account and, has very successful businesses or whatever, your lifelong dream is, whether, you want to be the first Nigerian athlete to cross certain milestones, whatever your goal is, as you're preparing and taking steps on a daily to achieve that vision is exactly how you should be preparing daily, because there's going to be a future version of you, as you want, that would have children. So that future version, just like that future version of whatever your dream is, whatever it takes to achieve that vision, you should also have, short-term goals, long-term goals for becoming, that version of yourself that will be a parent. How do you want to speak? What kinds of behaviors do you want your children to emulate from you? What do you not want them to see? Do you want to have a household that feels safe and secure? Do you want to have one that is filled with toxicity where the children hide in their room? You have to start at least basically on a very basic and minute granular level, start to, say this is what I would like, this is what I would not like, this is who I would like to be, this is who I would not like to be, this is what I want my partner and I to do or look like or sound like as it relates to parenting.
Yes, it's many things. So we have some questions that basically would help us to at least share as much insight as possible. So each question we'll just answer in like 1 to 2 minutes. And basically we'll do like maybe 5 questions and just see how that goes and then just wrap it up so that it's shocking enough. And the first one is, what surprised you the most about yourself after having a child?
What surprised me the most about myself after having a child? I think firstly it was the strength and just the resilience, bro. I knew I was strong, but after having a child, I guess motherhood just unlocked a great deal of strength and resilience inside of me, and it wasn't just physical, it was mental, it was emotional. There are days where I'm having a very, very tough day personally, but motherhood doesn't stop for your personal breakdown. Unfortunately, you have a child who still needs you, who is very much dependent on you. And days where, I just don't sometimes feel like getting out of bed. And if left to me, I wouldn't. But I have a child who needs to eat. I have a child who needs to bath. I have a child who needs to, learn and grow mentally and emotionally. So I have to dig deep and really, really find the strength to prioritize him and his well-being. And yeah, I just did not know I had that. So it's been interesting to just realize that even when I think I'm at the end of myself, I still find the strength to make sure that Joshua is well. So yeah, the strength and the resilience, mentally, emotionally, is one interesting thing. I have a lot, but yeah, they said 1 to 2 minutes.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there is the stretching that parenting basically causes. I think for me, one thing that I know that parenting did to me was just, obviously I've always been one to take responsibility of like how the future would be, but I think I went into like overdrive in terms of just thinking about what school. I remember like maybe 2 months or actually maybe like 2 weeks here. I was thinking like, what university would this be going to like this? And I was like, this maybe in this time university might not be a thing the way I'm thinking about it. Maybe your head just carry you, and you be thinking of the future and what the future will look like. But definitely, for me, the futuring for Joshua was a huge part in my head, because I'm just like, how do you prepare for that, in quote? That was one thing that, and even till now, it's still something that I think about. Like, I think it was 2 days ago, I was thinking about, would what do they call that thing? School bus bringing him home, or would he? It's just very interesting thoughts. But yes, absolutely. Second question is, what is the hardest? Yes, what would you say has been the hardest part of parenting so far, and how did you navigate it?
For me, I think the hardest part of parenting so far has been how there are just some things, I think, because of like the dynamics, between Ori and myself currently. There are just some things that you have to do, I guess, or you have like the responsibility for, or you get to experience alone. And because Ori, is currently working and out of the house most of the time during the day, I spend a lot more time with Joshua currently, and that is like, it's time that cannot just exist in a vacuum. It's time that we have to do something with. It's time that we're either learning his ABCs, or we're teaching, or I'm teaching him, colors or something. It's time, and it's time where I'm alone with Joshua. So having to experience certain things alone because of, like I said, always working and I'm with Joshua, has been quite hard, and having to take responsibility for a lot of things, that Ore can't do because he's working, has been tough. And how to navigate that, to be honest, I'm still figuring it out, because it's tough, yeah.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, because I can't remember the person that asked me. I was asking me like, oh, I should share past questions about parenting, and I told the person, I said, but there's no past question I will give you, because parenting is actually within, especially when you're starting out, is within the context of the life that not just you, but like you and your partner, because like I think the person I was speaking to, they are both working, and I was like, any person with me I give you, it can't work for you, because like there's context to the parenting experience. I think every time people ask us and say, is Joshua not in school? And you're like, and I'm like, oh no, he's not in school, or people tell you that maybe their child is in crèche or something, and you're like, at what point did you start taking him to crèche? And you just realize how different the experience of parenting is, because in truth, it's contextual to, it's almost like a career. Like, it's very contextual. You can start in the same law that two of you are studying, but I might start in marine, you might start in something else, and you just realize that our experience is not actually the same. For me, I think the hardest part of parenting so far is not being able to juggle many things and give them the same priorities as much as you would like to. So, like, having to leadership is hard already in terms of having a business. Everybody says, we should have a business like you, so that whenever I can just be away, people will delegate, people will do the work, and I'm just like, you have absolutely no idea what in truth it is, because in the times when you want to be away, you realize that your presence is almost life and death in some way for the business. And then now it's happening in the time when you're also needed at home in some way. So being able to just do, in quotes, what I would call like the parts that can be done. For instance, waking up early in the morning, beating Joshua, and then by like 11, start running to the office, and then coming back late and Joshua slept. I think coming back and Joshua slept. Obviously, I know he has to sleep, but just coming back and realizing that, oh, it's still midnight again, that you see him again, and just like, I wish I could spend more time. But in truth, you can't. So that talk between idea ball and reality is quite tough, to be honest. It's quite tough, to be honest. But yeah. And
then how do you navigate it?
How do I navigate it? So the simple structure I've done is that I spent almost all my mornings with Joshua in the morning. That's between like 6 to like 9. No, 8, 9, yeah. So that time Joshua would want to jump on your tummy or he would want to sleep but not sleep. I think that's another thing that's one learning curve that people will learn about children. That children want to, but they would not. But they want to. Like sleeping is one very interesting thing. Children don't just sleep. When my wife explained to me that they don't have a particular part of the brain that helps you sleep when you're tired in the first 6 months, and then it develops. What's that part?
It's not a part of the brain. It's just like a nervous regulation thingy, the circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm, yes. And that they develop it over time. But it's typically difficult to just see a child sleep, even when they've developed in code.
Yeah.
But
it's also even like as they develop, even when their circadian rhythm is developed and they want to sleep, it's not easy for them to just fall asleep, the way adults do, because there is so much of the world they want to see, they want to explore, they have serious FOMO every time they sleep. They feel like, you're having the time of your life, and they just are missing out on that. So they're very curious, they want to learn, they want to put to practice the things that they're learning. Sleeping is like a crime to them. Yeah, so even when they're absolutely tired, it's some of the reasons why they fight sleep, because being awake is more fun.
That makes a lot of sense, because Joshua will stay awake with you. Like even when he's yawning like 7 times, he's still looking at you like this, like what do we do next?
Sleep is for losers.
I beg, sleep, I beg. Another part that was very hard is actually the part where we could not sleep. I know because me, I used to sleep like bricklayer, but my wife, if feathers should fall, she'll wake up. Which is now such a good thing now, because now that I have a baby, actually somebody needs to wake up to check. But I'm working on my sleep, I think. Yes, so next question is, what did you learn or unlearn from your parents when stepping into this role? From your own parents when stepping into this role? What was one thing that you're like, I'll do this differently?
That's such an interesting question. I never knew what my mom or my dad was like at the stage that Joshua is,
True.
So it's very hard to speak, or compare apple to apple. But I think one thing that I learned from, my parents, let me speak for my mom firstly, as she parented, was just sacrifice, like, and intentionality, going all out. And I think one thing that my mom always demonstrated to me at any stage, even now that she's still my parent, even till God calls her home, right, is that there is no height too high to go for your child. And that is one thing that I'm so glad I was able to take from her. Like, I serve Joshua with my last breath every day, with my last strength. I'm more than happy to love him and labor, because love is actually labor. So I'm very much happy to labor over him, even if it costs me, like I said, my last iota of strength. And that's something that I learned from my mom and took. And sorry, what's the question again?
Learn or unlearn?
Okay, so that's learning. Now, on learning, I think on learning is quite similar to that, because while you want to lovingly labor over your child and give them everything, there is still other parts of your life that also require your attention, your energy, some best version of yourself. So I think I've had to unlearn, that extremism, so to speak, and just find a bit more balance with, being a mother, being a sister, being a lawyer, being a poet, because all of those hats you are concurrently wearing. You're concurrently wearing, and that's really important. I think our parents' generation, there were not too many multi-potentialites or doing too many things, and it was normal for every other part of their lives to pause, for them to focus on, especially mothers, to focus on mothering or parenting, while the fathers worked. But I mean, the economy is tough these days. We need not even just double income households, but multiple. Like, bruh, there is just so much to do, to become. So you're wearing so many hats, and you sometimes have to wear them concurrently, and the responsibilities sometimes pull you in different directions. But learning to balance all of that and still show up as whatever is required of you is what I'm currently on. That's what I'm currently learning by unlearning it from the example that was modeled to me. I think for my dad, it's kind of similar. Like, my dad really, really, really focused on providing, and we're really, really grateful for his input, and just support and love, because the kind of love you have for your children, to wake up every morning, get out of bed even when you don't want to, because you want to put food on the table, sometimes is understated and underappreciated. And it's not easy at all to have that focus and zeal because of your family. So again, that's something I've also learned from my dad, to give sacrificially. But I think unlearning again is very similar in that, yes, there is still some balance to be achieved in that regard. So
I think for me, one thing I would say that I learned from my parents is just being what's that word? Like, my parents are they're very emotionally, emotionally present with the child. So, like, me and my dad, in quotes, we have cried together, or we have done very we have experienced intense emotions together. So that was one thing that I learned, in terms of, like, I think it happened like twice, where I was just looking at Joshua and he would smile at me and I'll start crying. And I'll just be like, what is my baby, my baby, my baby? And just that, feeling the emotion to a very pure experience is very interesting and hard to articulate. Like, I remember when Joshua was born, like, just that, oh my God, this is my baby. I think I was watching one video on Instagram, and then it was this whole paternal, is he your son, is he not your son, who is the father, daddy? And they told the man that, oh, he is your son. And the man shouted, that's my boy, that's my boy. And I started crying. And Joshua was in my heart. I was like, yeah, that's my boy, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But just being able to experience the emotions and let the emotions drive you. Because if it's just duty, like just duty for, I need to do this, I need to do that, it doesn't have as much meaning than when you experience it to a place where you're motivated by the emotion, and just knowing that you are there. You are, like, now, if I'm going to do anything, in quotes, for Joshua, I think about it as I'm doing, I call him my bro, my bro, my bro. obviously it's my son, but it's my bro. And even till this afternoon, I was saying it's my bro, my bro, my bro. And it's a different experience in that way because it is a relationship, even though he doesn't talk and do you get. But that is something I picked from my parents, in that they connected more than just like responsibility, but like an actual, and that is the kind of relationship I'm hoping to build with Joshua, in that I can say my bro and have that depth of relationship. The balance is when Joshua slaps my face, and I'm just like, oh man, this boy doesn't know what he's doing, but he don't come on my eye like 17 times in 2 days. But basically, just knowing that, okay, you still have to protect him, you still have to put him in his crib. You get like, he can't have his way every time. And it's never that you're doing anything stern or anything difficult. It's just knowing that, you have to still watch over and guard. Yeah, that's a bike. I don't know what the person is. It's probably a child guy, but yeah. Um, like just knowing that you still have to guard intentionally and actively, and put safety corners on the edges of the build of the furniture in the house, or you need to get some things to cover the security places. I remember when I was young and we had a dog, and the dog and I were fighting for biscuits, and I tumbled. I told you, right? It's a different life, but but yeah, that experience, and just knowing that, okay, you will love a child, but you also guard a child, you also protect a child. And obviously my parents did that too, but just learning and balancing my bro with my son, it's yeah, that's something that I carry with me every time I think of myself as a parent. Yeah. And the last thing is, when do you feel most connected with your son?
Did you say where?
Okay, let me look for the question. When do you feel most connected to your child? When? In moments that happens regularly.
Bro, it's hard to single out a moment because the connection between myself and my child is ever going. Like I birthed this boy, I carried him inside of me for months. So our connection even began way before he came out into this world or this side of Earth. It's very hard to single out a moment. Like I just have a reel playing in my head right now. But if I was to choose, it would be I feel most connected to Joshua when we're experiencing something new together and when we're playing. He's such a curious boy, and I think his curiosity is so priceless. And I always, just I allow it, I guard it, I feed it, because I think curiosity is one of the most important traits any human being can have if they want to grow, if they want to learn and be successful. So I feed his curiosity, I pique his curiosity, and he indulges me basically. And we just, play from there and find something interesting to do. And, I learn a lot about him. I learn a lot about myself too when we're playing. So I feel most connected with Joshua when we're playing, when we're following our curiosity here.
Nice. For me, it's when I'm beating Joshua. Whenever I'm beating Joshua will just look up. This thing he does, like he can be looking somewhere and he just look up, just look at you, and look you straight in the eye, and just stare. And in that moment, it's just like, can you see my soul? Like, and or when you're dressing him up after you're done beating him, you now dry him up and put him on the towel, and then you just be excited about the day, like, let's go, and you're just like, I'll do this thing where I dance, and then he will scream, and it's just fun, and it's like we're experiencing the same thing, and it's similar to what you said, like just experiencing something very simple with Joshua at the same time, and he's expressing the same emotions. And I think for me, one thing that is very beautiful is just seeing that there is a full-grown, blown person forming day by day, month on month. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, From somewhere that when you met him, you couldn't talk.
He was a blank canvas,
You
and
get- and
now
now
his personality is shining through.
They're saying,
You
yeah,
know, he has his own voice, he has his own tone and preferences. You know, you ask him, "Are you ready to sleep?" He'll be like, "Yeah,"
yeah.
or he'll say, "No, no, no, no." And he's not just saying no, no, no. He's saying no, no, no. That's why, in case you didn't hear it the first time, you know, it's so interesting.
When he's excited, he say, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just like, bro, like, or when he goes, my mama.
Yeah, oh, so precious.
My mama.
He say, "My mama," and I'll say, "Yes, my love."
Or you will see himself on your phone, like in the picture, and he will cry in the phone. Then look, then you will see his mom will and say, "Mama," I say, "Dada," or you look at the canvas in the parlor and just say, "Mama," and you just know he can see the face, he can spot it, and
his pattern recognition abilities are growing. He can, you know, repeat words like
he can. Out of his playpen one single toy that he doesn't like it. Every time he sees it, he throws it out.
It's not because he doesn't like it. It's because the toy bounces the most, so he likes to watch it bounce.
So he flings it out.
Yeah. You know, just his ability to recognize colors now. Now we're learning colors and letters and numbers. And, you know, now Joshua, my favorite thing that Joshua does is when he wants you to read to him or do something or play with a particular toy, he would go take your hand, whatever your hand is on, he will, like if you're holding something in your hand, he will remove the thing from your hand, drop it so that your hand is free. Then he would put what he wants you to do, whether it's play with a particular toy with him or show him something, he will put that in your hand and look at you like, your move. Your move. You know, and that level of communication is so beautiful to see, because this was a boy that could not even hold anything in his hand at some point, you know. So watching him grow has just been so blissful, so heartwarming. And we're grateful to God for his help. You know, we cannot take any of the credit, to be honest. Yes, we're working hard. We're very intentional parents, but God really, really, really parents us as we parent Joshua, you know, and teaches us how to parent him best.
Yeah. And to be honest, it is the most fulfilling thing, to be honest, I've done in my life. Just experiencing the growth. Because I don't think anything has grown in my hand as much as someone that couldn't talk before, now I can talk. Someone that couldn't walk before, now I can run and hide and enter a room and close the door. And you'll be like, why did you close the door? Is he at the back of the door? Can I open the door? But yes, it's been a very, very fulfilling experience. Albeit it takes a lot of work, but like it's fulfilling work, just like every other thing that's meaningful in our lives. We enjoy it, but it takes a lot. But we still enjoy it nonetheless. So that would be the last question. Is there anything you want to highlight before we call it a day or an episode?
Yeah, I think I just want to echo how fulfilling parenting is, as well as just remind people to have a vision of the kind of parent you want to be, have a vision of the kind of parent you would like your partner to be, because both of you are parents, and agree on that vision as granular as possible. Who's going to be doing what? You know, do you understand why this is important, or why I think this is important? This is, you know, the kind of parent I would like you to be, as much as this is the kind of parent I would like, you know, you to help me be. And just, you know, ensure that there's like a partnership in your parenting. Because that's also very important, and your child benefits from that. And I think it's also important to mention that parenting looks differently for, you know, the man as it does for the woman, and knowing how to complement each other is very important. You may not necessarily look the same, and that's important to know, so that you're not competing on things that you should be complementing each other on. And yeah, shout out to every mother out there. Shout out to every father out there. You are doing hard but holy work.
Nice.
Parenting is sanctifying. As your parent, you know, you're actually conform more to the image of Christ, as you also give your children the opportunity to conform to the image of Christ. So, well done.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, do you think that there is do you think there is a perspective that mothers have about parenting that only mothers can have, and a perspective that fathers have about parenting that only fathers can have, in terms of upbringing, societal, everything, like the way we've been brought up? Do you think that informs and sort of defines to a large extent the perspective of a man, father, and the perspective of a mother?
I think this is the nature nurture debate, and
Yeah.
it's very, very complicated. To give a one word answer would not be me doing it justice, because yes, you can have your background influence. You can have your background influence, how your parents, maybe what you saw your parents doing, but you must also, like I said, have a vision for your own parenting and stick to that vision. As to whether there are perspectives that are unique to the gender, I think, yes, it would be very ignorant of me to not admit that, because there is, the biology, for example, and the physiological aspects of, carrying a child, that a woman's body and mind tailors her experience, to, and makes her prone to, that a man cannot experience, for example. So yes, to an extent, that's like the nature part. But I don't think that only a mother can be nurturing. I don't think only a mother has the responsibility to be nurturing. So yes, she may nurture better in some ways because of nature, but I don't think nurturing as a responsibility is solely for the mother. Neither do I think protection, as a responsibility is solely for the father, or provision, as a responsibility is solely for the father. There is emotional provision, there is financial provision, there is provision in many other, lights and regards that, you can look at it that both mother and father provide, both mother and father have the responsibility for. So, yeah, to my mind's eye, while there may be an argument for how, their perspectives unique to a particular gender, maybe because of what they've seen or because of nature, I don't think that, only one side of the shoe fit. I think both shoes fit, and that's nature and nurture. You can learn to, provide the things that maybe in previous times have been thought to be relegated to one gender. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for staying and listening to this episode of Divide Podcast. We hope that you learned one or two things, or three or four, and we hope that we see you on the next episode. Thank you, and please like, share, comment, share with a parent and tell them well done. They're doing such an amazing job. And yeah, we hope that this has helped you at least start to think about the kind of parent you want to be, and maybe start to put pen to paper and write out the steps that you're going to take to be the kind of parent that you want to be. All right, guys, see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Love you. Please, let me know if you want me to come back. Let me know. Disturb Ore about it.
So I had to go and put Joshua to sleep because he woke up while we were recording. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know my wife already sound that I should tell you guys. Take care, and whatever you learned, do share with people that are about to enter into this space, or just got married, or anyone that you know that is very responsible or futuristic about the roles that they will play in life. But yeah, Thank you for rocking with us. I remain your host, Do I Podcast. Cheers, guys. Happy new month in advance.